Welcome to Television Sydney News. I'm Bianca Martins. It's great to have you with us. In this week's bulletin, a ban on coal seam gas mining near residential areas welcomed in Macarthur, a stranded fishing trawler freed from rocks off Cronulla, and a rare white wallaby becomes a star attraction in Auburn. But first, community and business groups renewed calls for a second airport in Western Sydney at a forum last week. Former Senior Planning Officer Bob Mayer argued in support of building an airport on 17,000 hectares of government-owned land at Badgerys Creek at the Parramatta event organised by the Sydney Business Chamber. But residents say a second airport would bring with it the potential risk of jet fuel contamination in local food supplies. At a recent meeting in Liverpool, Premier Barry O'Farrell answered questions about a second airport being built in Western Sydney.
If I had $11 billion today, I can tell you that my priority would not be a second Sydney airport. My priority would still be completing Sydney's road network, completing Sydney's rail network, because unless we have proper transport in place to cope with the current population, we're never going to be able to afford to continue to invest for the future population.
The Western Sydney Regional Organisation of Councils has called for community consultation to determine residents' views on an airport at Badgerys Creek. The organisation, which includes Parramatta, Blacktown and Penrith councils, previously opposed additional commercial aviation facilities outside of Sydney Airport. But a meeting on Thursday night, President Tony Hajiti said the councils recognise the economic value and potential infrastructure growth to the region. The state government's decision to ban coal seam gas mining within 2 kilometres of residential and future growth areas has been welcomed across the Macarthur region. Local Liberal MPs who have opposed any expansion of CSG operations say the new rules are a huge win and will put a stop to AGL's expansion plans. Earlier this month, AGL put plans on hold to drill 66 new gas wells beneath suburbs around Campbelltown and Camden, citing community concerns. Scenic Hills Association spokeswoman Jackie Kirkby says she is pleased with the move but described it as a policy on the run in the lead up to the September federal election. An AGL spokeswoman says the ban will add to the state's gas supply crisis. A fishing trawler stranded on rocks off Cronulla Point was freed on Thursday morning with the help of a rising tide and a lighter load. The 23-metre vessel Challenge was refloated before dawn after salvage crews emptied more than 10 tonnes of water from a live bait tank. A Sydney Port spokesman says there was no fuel leakage or damage to the hull. The father of teenager Thomas Kelly, who died after an unprovoked attack in King's Cross last year, has spoken publicly about his son's death for the first time. Ralph Kelly addressed students at Arthur Phillip High School in Parramatta at the launch of a website to improve youth awareness of the dangers of alcohol. He told the students a neurosurgeon had to remove half of Thomas's skull in order for his brain to have room after it swelled dramatically when Thomas was king hit. The family made the decision to turn off Thomas's life support 2 days later.
7th of July is a date which is now etched in my memory and it will never leave, for all the wrong reasons. It's a date that had changed our family's lives forever. It's a date our child was mercilessly taken away from us.
The Out Tonight Party Right website, launched by Hospitality Minister George Soros, contains information on binge drinking and safety precautions to take when socialising. Project Ambassador Chris Lee also delivered a speech. The 19-year-old was blinded by a knife during a brawl over a racial slur on a night out with friends last April.
I woke up in hospital after having emergency surgery on my eye and spoke to the doctor that the knife had gone through my eye and displaced my retina. They had managed to sew it back together, but now I'm totally blind in my left eye. I had 3 plates put in my right cheek after getting kicked in the face while unconscious.
A major route through the Blue Mountains was blocked on Friday after a semi-trailer caught fire. The Great Western Highway was closed in both directions at Falcon Bridge at about 9:30 a.m, causing major traffic delays. The cause of the fire was unknown and fire crews attended the scene to contain the blaze. A group of Blacktown residents fear they will be trapped in limbo for decades until the council buys their properties, which were recently rezoned as public land. Lee Watkins says the move has shocked the neighbourhood and there's no plan at this time for the council to buy any of the 26 affected properties. The properties can't be sold as they are zoned for recreation under the new local environmental plan. A council spokeswoman says the acquisition of land will happen over a long period as the area develops and the homes will eventually be purchased at market value. Work to upgrade a 1.9 kilometre section of Richmond Road at Marsden Park from 2 to 4 lanes has begun. Motorists and Blacktown Council have called for the upgrade for 10 years, and it was originally planned to start in 2016. Premier Barry O'Farrell and Roads Minister Duncan Gay launched the works last weekend. The $46 million first stage has been started between Bells Creek and Townsend Road. It was accelerated to go hand in hand with the construction of more than 12,000 new homes in the area, part of the Northwest Growth Centre. Panthers Chief Executive Warren Wilson says it is fantastic the billionaire businessman James Packer will build a $10 million college in Penrith. The state-of-the-art facility will be built within Panthers' proposed community centre and will train 1,250 staff for Mr Packer's planned Crown Sydney Hotel Resort at Barangaroo. Mr Wilson says Crown's investment will benefit not only Penrith but also the Greater West. The countdown has begun to this year's Sydney Royal Easter Show. Judges have been busy putting produce to the test, with competition hotting up in the Sydney Royal Cheese and Dairy Show last week. Quakers Hill expert Alison Bryan was among the judges in what is one of the biggest cheese shows in Australia.
Go through each cheese one at a time and awarded a score. We're looking for gold and silver medals, so we're looking for really good cheeses out of each class. We've got fresh cheeses, we've got feta, bocconcini, we've got the hard cheese, we've got cheddars, grating cheese, blue cheese, brie, stinky cheese, everything, you name it. It's all here and it all gets judged.
And children from the Children's Hospital at Westmead and the Royal Far West Children's Health Service put the Showbags through their paces at the showground on Wednesday. There's 322 Showbags all up, with Sesame Street, The Moshi Backpack, Dora the Explorer and Angry Birds all making it to the top 10. But old-time favourite Birdie Beetle is the star of this year's show, with a limited edition Showbag to celebrate his 50th anniversary. Socceroo Aaron Moy walked into Quakers Hill Police Station last week to hand in his cherished green and gold shirt, plus a signed Wanderers shirt. The midfielder gave the shirt he wore in last year's Asia Cup qualifier against Hong Kong to help raise funds for the family of Detective Inspector Bryson Anderson. The officer was killed when he attended a domestic disturbance last December, leaving behind a wife and 3 young children. Moy says he was moved to help the family after his uncle, who is a police officer, told him about the tragedy. Now to a hairdresser and a makeup artist who are teaching women how to harness the vintage vixen within. Rebecca Knight and Belinda Trissig believe gone are the days when women celebrated the stick figure. The retro dames, as they call themselves, say today's woman wants to experience the beauty of the old Hollywood-inspired pin-up look, even if it's only for a day.
It's the classic, the look of the 50s that is becoming very popular at the moment too.
Miss Knight said women came to them to learn how to celebrate their curves. Television series such as Mad Men and Underbelly are among their influences.
Next sort of popular look will be more of the finger waves, the bobs. I think hair's going to go up a little bit shorter as well.
And if Miss Trisick is right, expect to see ruffle shirts make a comeback. And in sport, the Parramatta Eels head into Saturday's Battle of the West fixture against local rivals Penrith with a new coach, new captain and a new focus after a disappointing 2012. Despite a poor display in their opening trial against the West Tigers, the Eels are confident they can turn things around, starting with the M4 derby at CUA Stadium. But even after last week's 41-4 trial loss to the Tigers, there's no sign of panic heading into the annual battle of the West fixture against Penrith. One of the rare bright spots was new recruit Darcy Lussick, who was very impressive in his first hit out in the blue and gold.
First game, and for a lot of boys, it was our first game since pretty much August, so it was good to get out there and sort of build a few combinations and just have a run again.
Lussick is likely to form a strong front row rotation with Tim Manor and Fui Moi Moi. Moi Moi, who enters his 10th year at Parramatta, says he's hoping a big off-season will result in more game time in 2013. He says the team has been working hard this week to improve on last week's performance.
Our first game back, everyone, so I think everyone's too excited for the game, so a few things that work on it, so I look forward for this week.
The Eels start their 2013 campaign against the New Zealand Warriors on Saturday, March 9 at Parramatta Stadium. Elite Australian wrestlers Carissa and Justin Holland fear their Olympic dreams may have been shattered. The International Olympic Committee decided last week to drop wrestling from the 2020 Olympics. It was a big blow for the siblings from Abbotsbury who have been training long hours to wrestle for Australia at the 2016 Rio Games and beyond. 20-year-old Justin represented Australia at the 2010 Commonwealth Games, while 19-year-old Carissa says wrestling must remain an Olympic event. Wrestling began in the ancient Olympics and has been included in the modern games since 1896. The 2013 New South Wales Rowing Championships held at the Penrith Regatta Centre last weekend were the best rowing New South Wales has run in years, according to organisers. Rowing New South Wales Chief Executive Officer Christian Renford says the success of the New South Wales Championships was a good indication of how the Sydney International Rowing Regatta and World Rowing Cup would go in March.
It's a very big deal for the World Cup to be coming to Australia. It's the first time that international rowing's come back to Sydney since the 2000 Olympics. Penrith and the Regatta Centre will be absolutely fantastic hosts for the World Cup. We've got a lot of experience with our New South Wales volunteers and our Rowing Australia volunteers, and we'll definitely be showing rowing in the best light.
17-year-old Talara Tuckerman from the Nepean Rowing Club raced at the New South Wales Championships.
In the International Regatta, I think we're really good. I'm really looking forward to it, and the World Cup.
The International Regatta runs from March 18 to 24. And finally, a rare white wallaby is fast becoming the star attraction at Auburn Botanic Gardens and Fauna Reserve. The female red-necked albino wallaby is now 11 months old. Normally this species is a grey to reddish colour, but due to a genetic condition, this little wallaby has a loss of pigment causing her to have a striking white coat. Fauna keeper Rain Eagleton says the all-white marsupial came as a surprise to keepers.
They start off pink, and when she didn't get the brown colour, she started coming through white. That's when we knew we had an albino on our hands.
The albino wallaby's soft complexion is susceptible to sunburn, but Miss Eagleton says her enclosure has lots of shade and she should lead a normal life.
In the wild, albinos are quite rare because basically even if they are born, they don't really survive because they are quite distinctive for predators to see.
Auburn Botanic Gardens and Fauna Reserve is calling on the public to name the albino wallaby. So far, the name Snowy has the top pick. And that's all for this week's bulletin. For more information on any of these stories, pick up your local Fairfax community newspaper. I'm Bianca Martins. We'll see you next time.